Cloud, Squall, Sephiroth, Tidus. Are Final Fantasy characters needed in Kingdom Hearts anymore? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Only Nerdy Gaming, the place by a gamer for gamers and all things nerdy. Today, we're going to talk about Kingdom Hearts 3 and whether the decision to exclude the majority of Final Fantasy characters that had become such a staple in the first two main entries was a good decision or not. Final Fantasy characters have been around since the 80s, and until the early 2000s, Final Fantasy characters were kept in their own Final Fantasy game universes. The idea of having a crossover between mainline Final Fantasy characters who had never crossed paths before in any other of their games was something that hadn't really come to fruition throughout most of the 80s and 90s. It wasn't until 2002, with the release of Kingdom Hearts for the PlayStation 2, that we would see the likes of Cloud, Squall, and Tidus grace our television screens at the same time in the same game. As a gamer and Final Fantasy fan, this was a huge deal for me, and it makes sense why the game's director, Tetsuya Nomura, chose to do this. Would anyone have gotten on board with a Japanese action RPG that took place across various Disney worlds, besides young children interested in interacting with those worlds? Would hardcore JRPG fans flock to the title just to fight along Ariel under the sea? The answer is probably not, and Nomura knew this, which is why we made the decision to not only have Disney worlds cross over with each other, but Final Fantasy characters as well. After Kingdom Hearts 2, Final Fantasy characters as a main staple were seen less and less in the various games that followed. Perhaps Final Fantasy characters were saved for the main title entries, Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, and the eventual Kingdom Hearts 3. However, this turned out not to really be the case, as the only Final Fantasy figure in Kingdom Hearts 3 is a Moogle, who happens to be a shopkeeper, and not really an integral part of the story. In an interview during the summer of 2018 with US Gamer, Nomura was quoted as saying that the reason we don't see Final Fantasy characters is that there are so many original characters that need to resolve their own problems and issues, and because their issues and problems are very difficult, there just wasn't much space to fit Final Fantasy characters. He continued, "When you look back on the first Kingdom Hearts, Sora was still a new character. He really had no backstory, so we kind of had the Final Fantasy characters as supporting characters. But now that it's been 15 years, the original characters are more polished than they were before, so I don't think that they need the Final Fantasy characters' help as much as they did before. Also, when we first released Kingdom Hearts, there weren't that many other titles that brought together the Final Fantasy characters. I actually think that Kingdom Hearts may have been the first to do that. But nowadays, there's an abundance of titles to do that, so I don't see the value of having that kind of feature in the game anymore." So as you can tell, Kingdom Hearts seemingly outgrew the need for the crutch, if you will, of Final Fantasy, according to Mr. Nomura. But does this answer the question as to if, for us gamers, this is a good idea? Well, ultimately, I believe that depends on why you play the Kingdom Hearts games to begin with. For some, the draw to the mainline Kingdom Hearts franchise was the crossover elements of not only the Disney characters, but the Final Fantasy characters as well. I'll always remember the fun battles and the interactions with Sephiroth and Cloud, and hearing One Winged Angel being played in the background. For others, the Final Fantasy characters may have been an odd element if you were along for the ride simply for the Disney aspect. If that was the case, then there were plenty of other characters of non-Disney backgrounds, like Sora and Riku, who filled in the gaps for non-Disney characters, so the added clutter of characters you had zero knowledge or interest in didn't add anything but clutter to an already character-filled game. I personally am in the middle. Well, I did very much enjoy my interactions with Final Fantasy characters and the gameplay elements that these characters brought, like the fights with Sephiroth. I can also appreciate the need for the original characters who have their own stories to flesh out to take center stage without the distraction of others needing to take up story time. Maybe we can get some added DLC with Final Fantasy characters added for battles or other events. But for now, it seems like we're just going to have to be content with the Moogle shopkeeper. I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about the omission of Final Fantasy characters from Kingdom Hearts 3, so leave a comment below discussing how you feel, and let's get the conversation started. As always, feel free to leave a like, share with others who may be interested in all the things nerdy, and perhaps subscribe if you haven't done so already. Until next time, remember to take care and stay nerdy. Bye!